we doing, everybody? We made it to Friday. Another Friday talking Wisconsin sports. Here we go with the Brewers. We're going to be talking Brewers today. Got a win in a series win against the Cardinals there on Thursday. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to preview the Cubs series coming up. We're going to talk about some big Bucks news. Didn't cover it yesterday. I needed time to process that move that the Bucks made. So we're going to get into it today. Just talk about what we're feeling with that deal. And then also, we're going to talk about whatever it was that we saw on Thursday night from this Packers team. It wasn't pretty, and there's a lot of questions that need to be answered here from I don't even want it from the players. I want it from Matt LaFleur and this coaching staff. What in the actual heck happened last night against the Lions? But with that, we are going to jump right into it here. We're jumping into the Brewers to start out this one. And the Brewers took the series against the Cardinals. Like I said, 3-0 yesterday was the finish there for the Brewers. Tehran got the win for the Brewers. I saw a lot of people were wondering why Tehran got the win, even though Corbin Burns was in there and they had the lead when Burns left. Corbin Burns only went 4 innings. He was the starter in the game, so he technically does not get the win in that game for it. So Julio Tehran came in after that. He would qualify for the win for the Brewers. That's my understanding of the rule. So that's what I understand it as, and that's what I'm going to tell you. So Julio Tehran gets the win for the Brewers. Hudson gets the loss for the Cardinals. Ethan Small recorded his first save. Called up there for, I believe he was called up for Colin Ray. Just to double check on that one. Or no, yes. No, he was called up for J.B. Buckus. J.B. Buckus was put on the 15-day IL. So with that, Ethan Small was recalled from AAA. And also Trevor McGill was on the paternity list too. So that was also opening up a spot there for him after Buckus was injured. Another move the Brewers made, not really sure about it. We're going to get into it a little bit more, but Garrett Mitchell returned to the lineup, and I was stoked to have Garrett Mitchell back. It's just on the opposite side of it, seeing Brian Anderson designated for assignment. That's what I wanted to get into here after we talk about the Cardinals series and then preview the Cubs. We're going to get into that. But with that, 3-0 finish for the Brewers in this one. The offense played a little bit better in this game here. Garrett Mitchell was actually a big part of it there. 1 for 1 in his return. We're going to get in the lineup here. Yelich 2 for 3 on the ball game. 1 RBI for Yelich. 1 run scored. 1 walk. Blake Perkins then replaced him later on in the game. Contreras 1 for 4 in this ball game. Santana 1 for 4. Canna 1 for 4 effort. Adames 0 for 4. Tellez 1 for 3. Donaldson went 1 for 2 for this team. Terang 0 for 3. And Mitchell 1 for 1 on the game. Looking at pitching for the Brewers, like I said, Burns 4 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. Tehran came in, got the win for the Brewers. 4 innings, 1 hit, and 4 strikeouts for Tehran. Impressive work out of Julio Tehran there in relief. Ethan Small then came in for that 9th inning. 1 inning pitched, 2 walks, and a strikeout for Ethan Small. So some good work there out of the Brewers pitching in this one. Hitting-wise for the Cardinals in this game, Nootbaar 1 for 4. Edman went 1 for 4. Palacios, Yepez, Kisner, and Quercudo went 1 for 4 for the Cardinals in this one. The rest of them offers in this game. Daniel Hudson, 5 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts for Hudson. Palante then came in for an inning and 2/3, 1 hit, 1 walk, and 1 strikeout. Jacob Barnes then finished it for the Cardinals, an inning and a third with 1 strikeout. So they got a hold of Hudson in this game there. Didn't pitch long for the Cardinals in this ball game. Looking at the Brewers in this one, 8 hits in total for the Brewers, 6 for the Cardinals there. The Brewers did have 1 error on the game there. It was a good way to end the season series with the Cardinals on a win, on a series win against the Cardinals. One last hurrah. Brewers got the 90 wins on the season. One of the most unlikely 90-win teams that have ever stepped foot on a baseball field. The Brewers leading into this game, I talked about it. I wanted to see the starters out there a little bit more. We saw them out there in yesterday's game, and I thought that was a good thing for the Brewers team to get those starters on the field and let them get some work out there. And they produced for this Brewers team, so that's kind of what we wanted to see there. But with that, we're going to jump into the preview for tonight's game. Have the Cubbies coming to town. The Cubs on the wild card chase right now. I would love nothing more than the Brewers to put the final nail in that coffin for the Cubs. Going into tonight's game, Colin Ray is the scheduled starter for the Brewers in this one. Looking at the Cubs, Kyle Hendricks will go for the Cubs. 6-8 on the season with 3.66 ERA. Colin Ray 6-6 on the season with a 4.74 ERA. Looking at the lineups for the Brewers against Hendricks, the most success is coming from, looks like Josh Donaldson. He has 13 at bats against him, 385 hitter. William Contreras 286 against him and 7 at bats. And other than that, the averages are in the low 250s and below there. Christian Yelich has actually got the most at-bats against Kyle Hendricks. He's got a 240 average against him with 50 at-bats, 5 RBIs, and 2 home runs against Kyle Hendricks. For the Cubs against Colin Ray, actually only 2 players on the Cubs lineup have faced Colin Ray, Bellinger and Candiero. I don't need to get his name right. The Brewers didn't trade for him. On their averages, though, both of them, 2 at-bats for Bellinger against Ray. He's got nothing to show for it. And Yadmir, we're going to call him that because it's easier to say his first name. He has got 1 at-bat against him and nothing to show for it, too. So a new experience for the Cubs in this one, facing the dynamic. We'll call him dynamic because it's a fun word. Dynamic Colin Ray in this one. But with that, we're going to jump into I tried to find the right word for it all day. I saw the move, and I tried to find the right word for it. And surprising, I guess, it really doesn't surprise me with the Brewers and how they operate. Garrett Mitchell was brought back, and I thought, it was good to see Garrett Mitchell back with the Brewers. I think he adds a speed threat for the Brewers. He's very good out in the field. And a contact bat, another guy in that lineup who can get on for you, steal some bases, lay that bunt down. Garrett Mitchell's a dynamic player to add back into and he boosts the roster. That's what he does. The surprising thing I saw is that Brian Anderson was designated for assignment. And I know what people are going to say. Wow, what do you mean? He struggled. He was struggling. Why would he be a surprising person to send down? To me, Brian Anderson is no different than what Josh Donaldson brings to the ball club. I talked about it yesterday, and I'll talk about it today. He doesn't do anything worse than what Josh Donaldson does. Defense, arm, all great for Brian Anderson. The bat was coming along, and then he got cold, and who knows if he'd heat it back up. We know he's a streaky hitter. That's how Brian Anderson's been in his career. So what makes people think that having Josh Donaldson in this clubhouse, on the team, on the field, is that much different than having Brian Anderson out there? To me, it doesn't. It doesn't change a thing. The only thing that I can see the difference between the two, bat-wise right now, both of them, they struggle. Glove-wise, I take Brian Anderson over Josh Donaldson. And in the clubhouse, I take Brian Anderson over Josh Donaldson. Veteran presence, yes. Josh Donaldson's been there, done that guy. A key word there is a been there, done that guy. He's been there, and he was one of the hot commodities in all of baseball, but not anymore. That's not him. So going into the playoffs here, I don't really shake that Josh Donaldson's the best option for the Brewers. Owen Miller, even a guy like Abraham Toro, those guys have produced for the Brewers this season, produced at the AAA level, both of which Josh Donaldson has not done this season for the Yankees in the minor leagues at the major league level, and for the Brewers in the minor leagues and at the major league level. Brian Anderson has produced. He produced early on in the season. He went through a little bit of a struggle, got hurt, was Andrew Monasterio replaced him, brought back, and was never given a shot again. And that's my question mark. I know it's a business decision. That's a business decision for the Brewers. 2 for 3 night the day before he gets designated for assignment. Showed promise that his bat was getting back. He had some hard hit balls. He was on the baseball, and the next day we designate him. Don't understand the move by the Brewers there. You have guys like Blake Perkins. You have Garrett Mitchell back. What's Blake Perkins' role going to be? And that's where I struggle to see with the Brewers. Now with Garrett Mitchell back, if he produces in this last week, are you going to bring Garrett Mitchell off the bench? You're not going to bench Sal Frelick. it would baffle me if they did. You are sitting with Christian Yelich. Yelich is going to have to either DH or play the field, one of the two. Mark Canha is going to play the opposite. So you're going to have Frelick and Yelich or Canha. So your third outfield spot, where are you going to go with it? You're going to go with Tyrone Taylor and bring Mitchell off the bench? Okay, so Mitchell's your first option. Or Tyrone Taylor's your first option off the bench. So what's Blake Perkins' role? He has options. Could have been optioned to AAA. And you wouldn't lose him in the organization. You just lost Brian Anderson in the organization. You might be able to sign him back, but why would you want to come back to the mess that was when you came back from injury? You lost your spot. Your spot was gone. Why did Rowdy Tellez come back from injury and his spot was still there? He hasn't hit worth a crap all season long, and his spot was still sitting there for him when he got back from injury. Doesn't make sense to me sometimes. The Brewers management doesn't make sense to me sometimes when they make moves, what they are really aiming at and what they think. If they have inside information that is baffling, but then it's different. But from what we can see, because they study, they have guys who are scouting and they go out and do their thing. But we sit here and we watch the production on the field. That's what we can gauge it off of. What we see on the field day in and day out. Josh Donaldson day in and day out is not the consistent hitter that the Brewers need. He's not the guy who was playing with the Toronto Blue Jays when he was helping them get to the ALCS that year. He's not that guy anymore. He is an inconsistent, power threat at times hitter. That's plain and simple what Josh Donaldson is. Brian Anderson was no different, except for the fact that you just outed him for Josh Donaldson. A has-been, wannabe guy. You just outed Brian Anderson for that. That is my only discretion with it, is that the way they kind of went about the deal with Brian Anderson. You just brought in Josh Donaldson, who was, mind you, a below 150 hitter on the season here coming to the Brewers. You completely outed Brian Anderson in the situation and brought Josh Donaldson in and started to play him right off the bat. Don't understand that move by the Brewers there. But with that, we're going to get into a little bit better news here. And we're going to talk the MLB scoreboard quick, because we got to check out some scores from last night. Games that would affect the playoff situation. Looking across the board here, the Braves beat the Cubs again 5-3. Dodgers lost to the Rockies 15-4. It doesn't really affect us anymore because Dodgers basically locked up. They locked up 2 seed. Phillies lost to the Pirates. They already clinched up that first wild card spot there. The Arizona Diamondbacks lost to the White Sox. And then looking at it, the Marlins and Mets were actually delayed. The Marlins came back, scored 2 in the top half of the ninth. The game was postponed. They don't know if it's going to be moved to Monday yet or what's going to happen with it, because the Marlins are set to play a series coming up this weekend. So this game might have to be continued on Monday to play the rest of that one, first and second, 2 outs for the Marlins there in the top half against the Mets there. That's just nuts, is that this game might actually have to be played due to playoff implications. They might have to travel back up there to play this game. But with that, I just want to jump over and just look at the playoff bracket as it sits right now. The Braves would get the 1 seed. Dodgers have the 2. Phillies guaranteed that 4 seed. The Arizona Diamondbacks sitting at the 5. The Brewers at the 3. And the Marlins coming in at the 6 spot right now. The Brewers would have a date with the Marlins from American Family Field. They're starting next Tuesday. Looking over at the AL side, the Orioles did lock up the AL East as of yesterday. So Orioles getting in there as that 1 seed. Rangers right now are the 2 seed, followed by the Twins coming in at the 3 seed there. Only reason because of the AL Central champions. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't even be in the playoffs. I don't think so. I think looking at the records, they wouldn't even be in the playoffs. Tampa Bay Rays locked up that 4 spot. Blue Jays are in the 5, and the Houston Astros come in that 6 spot right there. The AL wild card is getting crazy. The NL wild card is just as nuts. There's a lot of moving pieces still going on heading into the weekend here. But with that, I want to jump over into our segment talking about Brewers players, where they came from, how we got them, and what's going on with them. So left off yesterday with Blake Perkins, 2 outfielders left to get at. We got Tyrone Taylor first off. Tyrone Taylor, 29 years old, 2019 made his debut with the Brewers there. 400 hitter in 2019. Followed up in 2020 with a 237 average and 38 at bats. 2021, he saw his production uptick a little bit by an increase in at bats. 243 at bats that in 2021, 60 hits and 247 average. 2022, he was a 233 hitter in 373 at bats. And then in 2023, he is a 234 hitter right now, 222 at bats, 52 hits for him on this season. Looking at kind of where he has come from, he was signed by the Brewers back in 2012, worked his way up through the system, was a part of Biloxi in 2017 before working his way to Nashville. It looks like in 2020. When did he get up to Nashville here? Trying to see it here. He was a part of the San Antonio Missions for a little bit before they came Nashville. And then he was brought up to Nashville there. In 2019, he was with the AAA affiliate and then came up to the Brewers in 2019 there for just a short stint. So, Tyrone Taylor, in his career, he is a 239 hitter at the major league level. So, Tyrone Taylor's worked his way up slowly through the Brewers organization, drafted way back in 2012, worked his way up all the way until 2019 before making his debut, and now with the club here for the past 5 seasons. He has been with the major league club at portions in the season or for an entire season. So Tyrone Taylor, another product of the Brewers minor league system. Looking at our last outfielder, we saved him for last, Christian Yelich. Yelich made his major league debut 2013 with the Miami Marlins. 62 games, 240 at-bats that season. He was a 288 hitter in that 2013 season. Followed it up in 2014 with a 284 average and 582 at-bats. He had 165 hits that season. In 2015, a 300 hitter, 143 hits on the season, 476 at-bats, 298 in 2016, followed up in 2017, a 282 hitter, came to Milwaukee in 2018. He was a part of, I got to find that deal just so we can make sure we got it right. The Brewers traded Lewis Brinson, Ison Diaz, Monte Harrison, and Jordan Yamamoto to the Marlins for Christian Yelich there on January 25th, 2018. Huge move by the Brewers that year because in 2018, he was a 326 hitter, 161 hits in 187 hits in 574 at-bats, 36 home runs on that season, 110 RBIs. Followed it up in 2019, his injury season at the end, 329 hitter, 161 hits in 130 games, 489 at-bats on that season, 44 home runs. The uptick in home runs from 2017, 18 home runs in 2017, and then moving to 2018, 36, followed by 44 in 2019. If he doesn't get hurt in 2019, the Brewers' chances change there in the playoffs. 2020, that's when we saw the production start to drop there for Yelich. 205 hitter in 2020, followed it up in 2021 with a 248 average, 2022, 252, and now this season he is sitting at a 277 clip. So with the uptick in average, next season we should have Christian Yelich back at 300. So with what we're seeing. So hopefully that's the case and we get Yelich back to a 300 hitter. That'd be a huge boost for a Brewers team next year with a little bit of uncertainty. Uncertainty because we're going to look at the next guy in this on this sheet here. We're going to look at the next guy going into our pitchers, Corbin Burnes. He adds the uncertainty to the Brewers. 28 years old, made his debut with the Brewers in 2018. He had a 2.61 ERA, 30 games pitched, 7-0 record, 38 innings, 27 hits, and 35 strikeouts. 2019, 49 innings, a 1-5 record, 8.82 ERA on that season. He struggled in 2019. 2020, coming out the gates, 2.11 ERA, 4-1 on the season there, 59 innings pitched. He had, looking at strikeouts, 88 strikeouts on the 2020 season. 2021 is where he really saw his production start to go up. 11-5 on that season, 28 starts for him, 167 innings, and 234 strikeouts in 2021. An impressive stat there. And then you followed up into 2022, 243 strikeouts, a 2.94 ERA, 12-8 record, 33 games started, and then 202 innings pitched there for him. Impressive stats here in 2022. 2023 now, his ERA has gone up a little bit, 3.39, 10-8 record, 193 innings pitched, and a 200 strikeouts even on the season here. Looking at where or how he has progressed through the Brewers here. The Brewers signed him in 2016, was with the Timber Rattlers in 2016, moved up to the Mudcats 2017, April 4th, 2017, was actually moved up right away to the Biloxi Shuckers May 30th, 2017. Then he was assigned to Colorado Springs on April 4th, 2018. Worked his way up through the Colorado Springs before, they became San Antonio, so then San Antonio Missions. He was a part of the San Antonio Missions for a little bit, bounced between there and Biloxi before he was recalled by the Brewers there in 2018. He was recalled by the Brewers, sent back down, and then he kind of bounced around in 2018, 2019 before officially coming up to the Brewers there and pitching his most innings in 2019 there. He had 49 innings, and then 2021 is when he really saw the innings go up 167 before getting up into the 200s here for the past couple years. So 2018, 2019, more of a bullpen role for Corbin Burnes. 2020 on is where he became that dominant starter that we know and, some people love, some people don't love. Looking at our next guy, Andrew Chafin comes up next on our list here of notables. 2014 with the Diamondbacks through 2019, 2020 actually. He was with the Diamondbacks. He posted sub ERAs, 3.86 in 2014, 2.76 in 2015, had a 6 ERA in 2016. Threes across the board there until 2020 when he went back up to 6.52. That was with the Diamondbacks where he struggled, an 8.10 ERA. Before the Cubbies, 3.00 ERA there to end that season. 2021, he was with the Cubs and Oakland a little bit there. With the Cubs, 2.06 ERA. With the Oakland A's, 1.53. He was with the Tigers, actually, in 2022 for a little stint there. 2.83 ERA in 64 games pitched. And then in 2023, he was sitting at a 4.19 ERA with the Diamondbacks before coming to the Brewers and posting a 6.32 ERA. He's never been a dominant arm in the bullpen. He's always been average. He's had some above average moments. Looking back at 2015, 2.76 ERA in 66 games. He was a solid pitcher that year. But you look at his walk ratio, and his walk ratio is what's really killed him down the stretch there. Even in that 2015 season, 30 walks on that season. His uptick in walks is really what kills him because he's been a strikeout pitcher in the past, but he's starting to lose that stuff. So the uptick in walks, but the lack of strikeouts is what really kills Andrew Chafin here. Hopefully, if the Brewers keep on the roster, he starts to find himself in roles. I don't know what role he's going to pose for the Brewers, but hopefully he finds himself a good role with the Brewers. Signed all the way back in 2011 before working his way up to the Diamondbacks in 2014. Then with the Cubs in 2020. 2021, he was traded from the Cubs to the Athletics. 2022, he was signed as a free agent. 2023, he was signed as a free agent again by the Diamondbacks before the Brewers traded for him for Peter Strzelecki. So that was a low profile trade. Didn't give up much to get Andrew Chafin, but at the same time, we haven't gotten back what we were hoping, and that was another left-hand reliever down there we could go to in tough situations like Hobie Milner. We didn't get that back, and that's what I think the Brewers have been lacking. So maybe we see a guy like Robert Gasser in the playoffs, another lefty down there. I'm not sure what the Brewers will do, but bringing him in, that's what we expected, and we did not receive what we were hoping for out of Andrew Chafin. But with that, we're going to jump into one more guy, and that is Adrian Hauser. Hauser, he pitched for the Brewers 2015 on. 2015, he was with the Brewers there, pitched in 2 games. 2018, 7 games pitched, 3.29 ERA. 2019, he was at 3.272 ERA and 18 starts. 2020, he had 11 starts, 5.30. 2021, 26 starts, 3.22 ERA. 2022, he had 21 starts, 4.73. And in 2023, he's got a 4.32 ERA and 20 starts. Adrian Hauser has always been I'm going to give 4 runs, and I need the offense to back me up with that. He can give you some solid outings. He can give you some 1-run, 2-run outputs, but he's generally hovering around, giving up 4 runs, 3 to 4 runs. The offense has got to back him in those starts. He'll keep him at 4, but you got to be able to back him in there. Looking at where he came from, 2011, he was signed by the Astros, and he was actually a part of the Carlos Gomez-Mike Fiers trade, the lovely trade that brought the Brewers a guy named Josh Hader. In that trade, Brewers gave up Gomez, Fiers, and other considerations to the Astros. The Brewers got back Adrian Hauser, Brett Phillips, Domingo Santana, and Josh Hader. The Brewers won that deal. Besides the fact Mike Fiers threw a no-hitter when he left Milwaukee, the Brewers definitely won that deal in there. When he got to the Brewers, he was assigned to Biloxi before the Brewers actually selected his contract from Biloxi. September 22nd, 2015, he was actually brought up to the Brewers to appear out of the bullpen. He was optioned back to Biloxi on March 14, 2016. And then they actually recalled him from Biloxi October 3rd, 2016, before he was optioned. He bounced around Biloxi back to the Brewers for the longest time. May 27, 2018, he was actually with Colorado Springs for a little bit, and then he became one of the Brewers' main guys. Well, not main guys, but he became a mainstay with the Brewers there around the 2019 season is when he made his 35 games pitched on the season there, 18 starts. 2019 is when he kind of became a mainstay on this Brewers team. But with that is about all I got for the player coverage for the day. We're going to get into the rest of the pitchers there coming up there on Monday, because we have a little break there before the Wild Card Tuesday, before the Wild Card series starts for the Brewers. We're going to jump over into what in the actual heck did we watch on Thursday night. The Lions dismantled the Packers. I'm going to tell you the halftime stats for this Packers game. You tell me what jumps out at you. First downs, Detroit 15, Packers 3. First downs, Detroit 5 of 9, Packers 1 of 6. Total net yards in the first half. The Lions 284, the Packers 20. Offensive plays, Detroit 40, Green Bay 22. The average gain for the Packers, 0.9. Average gain for the Lions, 7.1. Rushing yards in the first half for a team that prides themselves on playing complementary football. The Green Bay Packers in the first half, 7 yards. 7 yards. Are you kidding me? 7 yards. Lions, 121. Passing yards in the first half, 13 for the Packers. 163 for the Lions. Turnovers, 1. Jordan Love. Touchdowns in the first half, 3 for the Lions, nothing for the Packers. Field goals, 1 for 1. Started out good for the Packers. Got a pick, didn't score, kicked the field goal, made it 3-0. That was the last time the Packers had any control. Looking at time of possession, Detroit 19 minutes, Green Bay 10. We rushed Aaron Jones back to get back for this Lions game. Aaron Jones in the first half, 2 attempts for 3 yards. A.J. Dillon, 3 attempts for 4 yards. How can you play complementary football when the running backs can't even there's no hole? The offensive line for the Packers got completely manhandled left and right last night. Jordan Love looked shaky. And I was talking to one of my buddies, and he's a Vikings fan, and he loved it. He loved seeing the Lions kick crap out of the Packers because it was the best thing ever. And we were talking about it, and we were talking about Jordan Love. And he thought Jordan Love, he was telling me Jordan Love sucks. And from what you saw last night, Jordan Love did suck. I mean, there was no denying it. He looked like crap. But if you watch, how many clean pockets did Jordan Love have? How many times did Jordan Love have a chance to step back there and make a play? There wasn't many times. I mean, if he wanted to scramble, if he wanted to make every play on with his legs, he should have just got snapped, took off, because that's where his line was running back at him. There was no help from his offensive line in this one. LaFleur, the play calling in this one was terrible. Why are we trying to run deep shots when Jordan Love has zero time in the pocket to make a throw? He doesn't have time to step back, step up. He's got zero time. We're running deep shots. We have playmakers, Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, Luke Musgrave when he was in there, Aaron Jones coming out of the backfield, Samori Torre made a huge catch. You have playmakers on this. Wicks. Did Wicks, I don't even remember if Wicks even, was Wicks in this game? He had one target. Wicks was huge for him last week. One target in this game. What was the game plan? I got to do a little bit more digging, watch Matt LaFleur's press conference, and see what the game plan was in this one and what his explanation is for the whatever the heck this is that we watched. But there is no great answer for it. Jordan Love, you look at that, look how out of sorts this game plan was. You look at that second interception Jordan Love had at the end of the game there. First and I think they were inside the red zone. It was inside the red zone there against this Lions defense. And Jordan Love stepped up, made a throw, Doubs turned out. And they said, and you listen to Kirk Herbstreit talk about it, and he said, oh, well, with a mobile quarterback, he was expecting to have to move for Jordan Love. And Jordan Love made the throw in the opposite spot. So are we just throwing away the game plan then, or what? Because if Jordan Love can't hit receivers in stride because they're going the opposite way because they expect Jordan Love's going to do one thing and he does the other, if this continues on throughout the season, then coaching needs to be fixed. Joel Barry needs to be fixed. This defense was atrocious. The Lions, after that first possession they had through that interception, the Lions could do whatever they want whenever they wanted to do it. They ran the ball wherever they wanted to go. Wherever they wanted to go, they ran it. Whatever pass route they wanted to chuck out there, it was going to get out there. There was Jair Alexander was out. Amon St. Brown got open. Reynolds had some huge catches for the Lions in this one. Montgomery, 121 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jared Goff, 19 for 28, 210 yards and a touchdown. The Lions played an impressive game in this one, but at the same time, the Packers played a terrible football game. There was no game plan. LaFleur did not adjust to anything that was happening. He didn't give them anything quick when the game was against him. When all the chips were down and you could see what the Lions were trying to do to this Packers team. Didn't change the game plan. It was like the Lions knew what the Packers were going to run before they stepped up to the line. There was no there was no misdirection, nothing. There was the Packers walking up to the line and Aiden Hutchinson and this defense from the Lions eating them alive. That's all that it was. And we're going to get into it more in this next week. We're going to talk about this game a little bit more. This is a game that needs a little bit of processing and just to kind of cool the jets and really dive into it and see what we really saw in this one. Because right now, looking at it last night, it was an all-around struggle, butt kicking, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't really a game. Packers made it look better than what it was, but this game, the slow starts, you can't have a slow start when the other team, when your defense allows 27 to 3 at the half. Can't have slow starts in those games because then you'll have what this happened. You scored 8 in the third, 9 in the fourth. You lost 34 to 20. You weren't able to keep up with the Lions. So if you get into shootouts, you will not be able to keep up. And that's my worry with the Packers right now. What is the next step for the Packers here? And do we need to find some offensive line help? Because now David Bakhtiari looking like he's out for the season here. Who knows when Elton Jenkins is going to be back? This offensive line needs help, and they need to figure it out fast because this season is going to become daunting for the Packers. You're sitting at 2-2 right now. Not a bad start, but they need to get better, and they need to get better in a hurry because coming up for the Packers, a date with the Raiders there, that's going to be a tough game. Another tough defense, and you don't want to lose to the Broncos there. The Broncos coming up after the Raiders, you don't want to lose that game. And then you have a date with the Vikings after that. The Packers need to figure this out fast. They need to figure out the offensive line. They need to figure out play calling and what's going to work for this Packers team. But with that, Brewers, though, Brewers are heading to the postseason. We have something to cheer about. And the Brewers are still in the regular season yet. They got the Cubs coming up this weekend. They want to knock the Cubbies right out of the playoffs and give them zero hope heading into the weekend here. So big game tonight here. I believe, if I remember right, it's a 7:10 start from American Family Field. Wild Card Series games, or the times have not been released yet. So hopefully by the end of the weekend, we'll have answers and know when we're going to be playing. Probably depending on who's coming to Milwaukee for that series will depend on time. But 7:10 tonight, Brewers have the Cubbies, Hendricks versus Ray. Hopefully a good game. Hopefully the Brewers end this season on a high note heading into the playoffs here. But with that, it has been awesome talking to you guys. Thank you guys for listening. This has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. Deuces, Brew Crew.